Welcome into SportBet Extra. I'm your host, Paul Rami, here every Tuesday through Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. We are back finally after a couple weeks. Had a lot of traveling, had a lot of things moving around. We're back. We're here to go. Hopefully, going to keep the same time slot here, 10 a.m. Central. Just going to depend now how things work out for the remainder going forward for this year. So we'll see if we need to make some changes on the time. I want to be really consistent. So as of now, this time is still working. Again, we'll have to see with things coming up if we're going to continue to stay at this time slot or if we've got to move it early morning. So if you have to wake up earlier or you can watch this pre-recorded, once you wake up, we'll see. Or might have to move in the evening. Got a lot to talk about, though. I mean, NBA, college basketball. We'll touch on some NFL. We'll touch on some college football. We're just going to have a great day back. And you know what? We're just going to go through it together. We're going to just kind of go through each play, each game we see that we like, talk about the NBA betting strategy. Man, we just got a lot to get into. So let's get right into it. Okay, so we're going to start the show same way we started every single show. Put that overall record up for you all to see. Now, look, we've been just a steady going December, January. There has not been much movement. Anyone who's followed along, we are right around the 27, 28, 29 unit range. So it is a little frustrating. It is what it is. Plays have been okay, some great days, some not so great days. We're just trying to figure out where the consistency is going to be. NBA betting strategy has fallen off a little bit as far as its record, but we're going to continue to do that all season. With NFL and college football, not much going on as far as play-wise, not a lot of action. College basketball has just been consistent, and it's been tough to cap that transition. So one of the hardest parts and areas to cap college basketball is the start of the new year where teams are beginning conference play. They've been playing all these other teams out of conference. You get a good idea of how they're going to perform. Then they get into conference play, and then you really trying to figure out what these teams are made of. Now, once these teams do start playing each other twice, that's when we start to find our edges a lot easier. So right now it's kind of that slow, tough to, difficult cap spot, but we're going to continue. So yesterday we did go 2-1. We did have an NBA betting strategy play. That was the 76ers -3. That one did win. And then we had American plus 2.5 in college basketball. That one was the winner there. They went outright against Navy. And then Nichols plus 14 against McNeese State. Yeah, they just got completely blown out, had no shot there. So that was just way off on my part. So this is what we're looking at as far as overall record. You can see there, NBA 29-21, still positive there. College basketball is still keeping us alive at 94-68-1. Again, don't touch on MLB. NFL 16-15, not great. Just wish we had some better plays on that there. And college football looks like we're going to end that season in the -8, 14-1 there. So this is where we're currently at. And when we talk about that NBA betting strategy, I want to make sure I get that pulled up here because that's something that, again, I've been tracking since the season started. We'll continue to track here. There's going to be plays in January that we're going to have there. We actually had that one yesterday. That was 76ers -3. That one was a winner. With that winner for the NBA betting strategy, we are currently 12-11. I mean, that's about 54%, I believe, right there, 12-11. Not the greatest. Definitely there was a long stretch of a lot of those plays that were losing. We started off hot, 8-2, and then have just kind of gone, in a sort of a slow decline for the strategy. But hey, we're going to continue to just see how it does throughout the season. We've got one coming up on the 16th one on the 17th, two on the 18th of January. So we'll see if those plays that we do have coming up for that betting strategy are going to be any good. So we've got that going. Again, a lot of good NBA action still. And look, we're not even halfway with the end. We're not even there at the All-Star break yet. So we'll be able to kind of have a better idea once we do get to that All-Star break where we're looking at with these games. So NBA betting strategy 12 and 11 there. And then we'll look at tonight's games and if we do have any action. There are some good ones. Not too sure if we're going to find much action, though, on those. So with that, let's get the overall record out of the way there. And before we do get into tonight's action, there is one I like to talk about, one play. Again, I like to always bring this one up because, hey, the NFL is coming to an end. We've got our Super Bowl future on the line on Saturday. Is this a spot that we hedge? Or do we let it ride here? Now, we had Texas Tech in our college football playoff. That was no good. Obviously, I talked about Texas Tech and Miami in the college football playoff as well. What I had projected and predicted there. Miami, like we talked about, had something to prove. They looked good. And I said, watch out for Miami. And here they are in the conference national championship there. And then Texas Tech didn't do well, of course, against Oregon. They get just demolished. So I was way off with Texas Tech there. So we do lose that future on Texas Tech to win the whole thing. But we do still have Broncos to win the Super Bowl. This one was placed, I don't know if we're able to see that there, back in October. This was back when the Broncos were still, they were decent, right? They had a couple good wins under their belt. But one thing I talked about whenever I place this future, you've got to look for, do you have a coach that knows how to win? And yes, Sean Payton, with his one Super Bowl, he knows how to win. Do you have a good defense? Yes. We've got a very solid defense. One of the top defenses beside the Texans, obviously, and the Broncos there. And do you have a capable quarterback that does not make mistakes? And yes, the answer is yes in Bo Nix. Those are the three major things we're looking for. And you want that quarterback who can also get you yards on the ground when needed. Those are the three key factors I was looking for when placing this future on the Broncos back in October. And here we are. We're going to continue to see what's going to happen against the Bills this weekend. I will probably not be hedging on Saturday. I'm going to let it ride. If the Broncos are able to pull it off against the Bills, then I'll start looking to hedge maybe that game, depending if they do win and if they're playing the Texans or the Patriots. So we do have our future here in the Super Bowl. I will be in Vegas for the Super Bowl. I will be trying to do a show out there in Vegas, especially that Friday before the Super Bowl, if possible. If I can do it on Super Bowl Sunday, that'd be great. It's got to find a spot where I can do the show there in Vegas. So, we're really hoping that we do get Broncos there just for sake of, the future that we've got. That'd be fun to watch. As far as I expect, this Broncos team against the Bills team, the Bills and Josh Allen, they're not going to have it easy against the Broncos. It's never easy going into Denver, right? No one's ever said, yeah, I love it. Let's go play in Denver. Love elevation. It's not easy. Broncos, Sean Payton especially, they know what they have to do. You got to contain Josh Allen. That's the goal. That's the number one goal. Let James Cook run on you. That's fine. But you cannot let Josh Allen do what he does. So that's going to be the goal there for the Broncos. In the Texans-Patriots game, I mean, man, that's going to be very exciting to watch. Of course, being from Houston, of course, I'm going to go for the Texans. But I've also got to be realistic. That defense is incredible. The offense, will it do enough if you're playing the Patriots, who also have a pretty solid defense as well. Now, I would definitely say the Patriots' or offense is a lot more potent than what the Steelers were presenting there. So that's going to be a tough one, especially going into New England. That's going to be tough. So that'll be a good one to watch out of the AFC. Just a lot of good games. Of course, the NFC side, Rams, Bears. Hey, that'll be a fun one. I was not a big Caleb Williams fan, but he's starting to prove me wrong. And especially if they can beat the Rams, I may have to be like, hey man, this kid might have it. Who knows? So that'll be a fun one to watch. What's crazy is just the NFC West teams that are in there. I mean, you got Niners, Seahawks, Rams, all from one division there. So that Seahawks Niners game, I would say it's going to be exciting. It's something we've seen already twice this season. So what's going to happen this time? It's not like one of those kind of matchups that we haven't seen before. These teams know each other. Probably going to be a pretty tough game defensively. So we'll see. But I would like to see, of course, Broncos in the Super Bowl. On the NFC side, it would be cool to see the Bears in the Super Bowl. We haven't seen that since Rex Grossman years ago. So seeing the Bears in the Super Bowl would be cool to see. Matthew Stafford, he's got his ring. Doesn't matter to me if Rams make it or not. I'm not a huge Niners fan, but I love the coaching. Love the coaching on the Niners. Just not a huge fan of them. And then on the Seahawks side, I mean, Sam Darnold, is he gonna finally do it? The guy's been tossed around like used underwear, and it's just like, dude, is he gonna finally do something with that opportunity? I guess we'll see. So it'll be fun. Definitely fun to watch the playoffs and see what happens here. But let's get into tonight's games. There's a lot going on in college basketball, a lot of fun ones. Like I said, now that conference play has started, you're starting to get a lot of good games. Looking at Marquette and St. John's, it sort of feels like Shaka Smart with Marquette is done. It kind of feels like, man, he just doesn't have it anymore. And maybe it's because of the way that college basketball is now, because he doesn't like to go into the portal. He likes to develop his guys. Look, the game's changing. And if you can't change with it, you're going to be left behind. And it just seems like that's kind of where Shaka Smart is. This Marquette team, I do not trust. Do not trust one bit. Yeah, they beat Xavier. They lost to Villanova in a close one. Sure. St. John's is just on a different level there. Now, of course, St. John's, they've had their spots that they've lost, right, against Providence there at home. Of course, at Kentucky is never easy to play at there. But St. John's defensively is just so good. I mean, they're one of the highest rated. I don't say one of the highest, but they're rated fairly well defensively. I mean, they can hit free throws, like we talked about, is huge, and their 3-point field goal shooting. If you look at that just compared to Marquette is only hitting 29.9% of 3-point field goals. That is well below average, well in the bottom of college basketball rankings. St. John's is hitting 36.3% there. I like St. John's here. They've picked up the pace. They used to be a very slow-paced team, but now they're picking up that pace. So now when you start to get these numbers of 14.5, that's something that's definitely doable. So I would definitely lean St. John's here with that big number at 14.5. Again, I don't see why not Marquette. It just feels like they don't have it anymore. So I would lean St. John's in that spot. Looking at a couple other ones, I mean, Boston College at Clemson. Boston College, I just never know what they're going to do. Some games they show up and keep it close. Some they win. Some they get like blown out. So what do we do with Boston College? I don't know. I don't trust them. But when looking at it, is this a spot where Clemson is just kind of going to look past them at this game? Right? Nice big win at Notre Dame for Clemson. Coming home, we got Boston College after a couple days rest. oh, shoot, look who we got next. Miami on deck. That's going to be a big one to watch. Does Clemson care about covering that 15.5 this game? I don't think so. Both teams run a very slow pace, two of the slowest in the country. So you're asking Clemson to really just take a big lead and clamp down defensively. Now, Boston College is not a complete mess defensively. They're solid defensively. They really don't turn the ball over as bad as they have before in the past. So they're holding on to there. Again, free throws is always an issue with Boston College. It just feels like one of those games where does Clemson really care about winning by 15.5? I would lean Boston College in this spot to cover. It just feels like one of those slow-paced games. You're not going to get a lot of scoring. I mean, just looking at that total, 134.5, right? So you're telling me, or what you're kind of predicting here, is Clemson's going to win this game. Was that 74 to 60, maybe 75, 59, somewhere around that range? Maybe. Are they going to score that much against Boston College? Maybe, but I don't see it. I would lean Boston College here with the points. Another great one to look at, Virginia, Louisville. Now, number 16, Virginia, going on the road. Number 20, Louisville. Louisville, 12-4, laying the 3.5. One thing, of course, you've got to look at Ryan Conwell. He's probable, so he should be good to go there for Louisville. And just kind of looking at the other injuries, Michael Brown, he's probably not going to give it a go. That's fine. I mean, you do lose a little bit of that guard play. As far as Virginia, I mean, Jakari White, he's probable, so really nothing too worried about as far as like who's going to be in or out. This is another one, could be another defensive battle, but that total is pretty high at 155.5. That is a very high total, especially for historically the way that Virginia plays. But this year, that Virginia team has been scoring. It's a little out of the ordinary. So on something like this, with that total so high, I mean, I would lean the under, but I wouldn't be confident in it. I could see this one somehow just turning into a shootout type of game. Louisville likes to score. Virginia is going to go score with them, right? Louisville is going to control the pace of this game. Virginia is going to have to keep up. They're going to have to shoot the threes, which they do pretty well at 36.7% from three. I would lean the over on this one just because I'm not really trusting that both defenses show up here tonight for this game. Moving on, a few games to look at. I mean, Texas A&M, Tennessee, not much there that interests me. Indiana, Michigan State, that's an interesting one. Indiana, there was a lot of talk about Indiana, especially the couple weeks that have passed. Beating Washington, going on the road to Maryland, winning that there. Versus Nebraska, who's obviously one of the stories of this season too. That was a tough loss there, 83-77 at home. And now you're going to Michigan State. Michigan State, of course, Tom Izzo, that team, they're always going to just be a defensive battle. Laying the 7.5, I don't know if I would. It kind of feels like a spot where Indiana's going to bounce back a little bit as far as defensively, maybe try and do a little better, because this is going to be one of those tough games where both teams are going to be – it's going to be a slugfest, really. I mean, free throw shooting advantage, Indiana there. I would lean Indiana, the plus 7.5. Michigan State, we know they're capable of it. They did not cover against Northwestern. We were on Northwestern on that game there with the points. Of course, when they beat USC was a joke anyways. I would lean Indiana on this one here just to cover that 7.5. I like what they do. They can shoot. They can defend. They should be able to keep it close to that 7.5 there. UConn at Seton Hall, that is interesting. I mean, Seton Hall, what do we do with them, right? Losses to USC and Villanova, both at home. Uh, what do we think this Seton Hall team is going to do? UConn, of course, we know they can score. They can hit the threes. They hit their free throws. They rebound well. They move the ball. I mean, one of the top assist teams in the nation, 18.8 assists per game. They are going to be moving the ball. But Seton Hall plays defense very well. They're going to force steals, force turnovers, which UConn has had a little more of an issue with, is turning the ball over. Seton Hall wants to control this game. They want to run at their pace, slow pace. They're going to want to keep it close. I would lean Seton Hall here, but not confidently in this game against UConn. That would just be kind of my first lean. Is they're gonna try and play slow pace game, try and keep it under. Just kind of the way I would lean Seton Hall wanting to run this game. It would be just for them to cover and an under for me. Not confident on that one though. Other good ones: West Virginia at Houston. Then you've got Alabama at Mississippi State. Florida at Oklahoma. Oklahoma is so Jekyll and Hyde. What are you going to get with this team? I mean, you beat Ole Miss, you beat Oklahoma State, but then you lose here against Mississippi State horrendously, at Texas A&M, terrible. So you're coming back home now, which is going to be their advantage, taking on Florida. Florida, big win at home against Tennessee. Previous win before that against Georgia. Is this a spot and just a down spot for Florida, where Oklahoma just comes to play this game? Probably. I would lean Oklahoma plus 6.5 here. It just feels like one of those spots where Oklahoma comes out to play for some reason and Florida just doesn't shoot well. I would lean Oklahoma there, 6.5. Looking at the rest, Oregon at number 8, Nebraska. Not touching that game. I love Nebraska. They're what they're doing. It's awesome. Laying the 10.5. Still not sure if I'm going to lay it, but I would not be surprised if they end up blowing out Oregon, win this one by 15, 16 points, and no problem. So I'm just going to completely stay off that one. Iowa State at Kansas. Iowa State has just been, 16-0, running through everybody. Baylor there, West Virginia, Oklahoma State to start conference play. But now you're going on the road against Kansas. Kansas this season, they haven't had a good consistent roster. Of course, with Darren Peterson being in and out so much, it's really tough to trust what Kansas is going to do. Iowa State, just offensively, they shoot the ball at an extremely high rate from the 40% three-point shooting team, but they don't hit free throws. They don't rebound very well, but they move the ball. So what are we going to get from this Iowa State team? Big game for them here against Kansas. I would expect them to be ready for this one. That is a small number at 3.5. I would prefer if it was more of a 1.5 type of number. I could see this coming down to a late, 5-point game. And then, Kansas hits a 2 or 3 at the buzzer to cover that backdoor number. So, I would lean Iowa State, not confidently though, on this one here. The rest of the games, I don't really have much interest in, so we'll just pass on those. And then look at the NBA. There's really not a lot in the NBA again that I'm liking. I really want to wait for the NBA betting strategy play that we have coming on the 16th. That's going to be one that we're going to take. There's not a lot that I'm seeing. Not confidently going to lay 2.5 with Nuggets on the road there against the Pelicans. Rockets 13.5. That's a big number. Thunder now against the Spurs, laying the 7.5. We know how the Thunder play the Spurs, right? We've seen what's gone on with them. So, are we confident in laying that 7.5 with the Thunder? Probably not. Hawks now, of course, without Trae Young. They're a better team. They're a team where their guys now know their place. These guys can confidently say, okay, this is my team. I don't have to worry about Trae Young coming in, stealing minutes. Obviously that was their franchise guy, but now you have your guys who can step up and say, cool, let me grab the bull by the horns and take this team. That's what you get with the Hawks now. I like that for the Hawks. I like them on the road against the Lakers. It just feels like these guys are playing much better now. Of course, Luka Doncic, they're uncertain to play today, so still got to see if he's actually going to be in or out. And then we're still looking at a couple of injuries. Porzingis, I believe he is out. Yeah, from, of course, his Achilles there. So just got to kind of see. I would lean, though, Hawks there, -3.5 on this game. So a couple leans there. Let's get into the play for tonight, and then the rest will be posted there on sportbetextra.com. So the one that we are liking, we're going to go back into college basketball. Favorite play for tonight, that's going to be Boston College with the points there against Clemson. So let's pull up, again, using ProfitX, legal here in Texas. So let's go see what number we're getting with Boston College here. Boston College plus 16.5. I don't want to lay that much juice. We're going plus 15.5. So Boston College plus 15.5, -107. That's the way we're going to lean for this one here. So let me get that play. Boston College plus 15.5, -107. And that will lock us in for the free play for Boston College plus 15.5, -107. We are locked in for today. The rest of the plays will be posted within the next 30 minutes over on sportbetextra.com. Get you a free 7-day trial. Let's win together. Then you can get you a free, or I'm sorry, then get you another week, month, 3-month, whatever you like. Let's just get back into it. College basketball, Boston College plus 15.5. Let's have a great day, and I will see you all tomorrow.